Hi, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to the big night. It's the final night of Gala week. Welcome, everybody, to our very special Meet and Mingle Ambassador Time session. We have a lot of animals to show you guys tonight, and not a lot of time per animal. So I'm not going to waste much more time gabbing. But my name is Alex Waring. I'm an Outreach Department's Public Affairs Manager, and this is Ruby. Ruby is one of our education ambassadors. She's one of our red-tailed hawks, one of three. And she is really a wonderful ambassador to have on our team because she fits really well into our messages, our flagship messaging. She actually is one of our oldest ambassadors, we're pretty sure. She came to the Wildlife Center, let's see, in 2010 from Dayton, Virginia, after she was hit by a car. Unfortunately, that impact left her with some pretty severe injuries and physical trauma, especially to the left side of her head. So you may notice about Ruby, and we'll see if she tolerates getting a little bit closer to the camera. You may notice about Ruby that she's missing her right eye. So that's what makes her non-releasable. When she was admitted as a patient, our veterinarians were able to determine that her eye would never heal on its own. So they surgically removed it. And that lack of binocular vision is what makes her non-releasable. Red tails are really amazing animals. They're really, I think, iconic in terms of American wildlife. They are the largest hawks that you'll find anywhere in North America. They're really widespread, all in pretty much every habitat imaginable, from all across the United States, Canada, all the way down to Mexico. And they're really, I think, easily identified in part thanks to that beautiful red tail. We'll see if Ruby's in the mood tonight. Oh yeah, that's a perfect view. So that's of course where they get their name. You can also rather easily, well, kind of, judge how old a red-tailed hawk is based on the color of those tails. So when they're fully grown adults, that's when they get that rusty red color on their tails. So because they're here all year round, they don't migrate, right? They stay in the same place throughout all seasons. They're found all across the United States. They're big, they're easy to identify. I think of them as really iconic hawks. I love these animals. And believe it or not, that's almost all the time that we have for Ruby. So you are going to meet a number of other ambassadors here. We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 outreach staff people that are kind of spaced throughout the building right now. We're at the Wildlife Center. So I'm finished with Ruby. She's done her part. You were an excellent date to the Gala, Ruby. Thank you so much. So next you'll be seeing either Lauren or Michael turn their camera on, and they'll be showing you one of our education reptiles. There they are. Take it away.
Hello, yes. So this is Oscar. This is our eastern hognose snake. Oscar was originally kept as a pet in Richmond, Virginia, so she's non-releasable for that reason. She lacks kind of the skills and she kind of missed that critical period to gain those skills to be able to survive in the wild. Um, if you can see up here very close, you can see her little upturned snout, and that's used to burrow and just kind of move around and forage for food. And Oscar's favorite food is a toad. That's kind of one of my favorite facts about Oscar. She will attack a toad and her back fangs will kind of pop it and it will deflate like a balloon. And then she will consume the toad. So Oscar got her name because of her defense mechanism. So whenever she feels threatened, she's a really, really talented actress. She will kind of flatten out her top region by her head. And she'll kind of stand up and look like she's about to strike. And she will even strike if she feels threatened enough, but it will not be enough to harm a human being, and also will not have enough venom to harm a human being either. So that is Oscar, and I think that is probably about time for Oscar. So I believe up next is Allegheny, is that right?
Or probably another raptor.
Another raptor. Okay. So thanks everyone for being here.
All right. Unmute.
Hello.
There she is.
This is getting a little intense, I think. This feels like we're having a speed round of things. Hi, everybody. Thanks for attending the gala this evening. Hope you all are having fun. This ambassador room, we may have set ourselves with a lofty goal of trying to maximize a number of birds and an opossum and some reptiles. So we're just rolling through, but my colleagues are around on Zoom and too. So hopefully we'll get to chat with each other. And yes, just pulling up the comments in case you guys have any questions out there. But with me tonight is Rosalie, the red-tailed hawk. So you guys met Ruby already, Ruby the red-tailed hawk, and now Rosalie's our other female red-tailed hawk. Rosalie came to the center several years ago, and yes, do you want to adjust yourself? There we go. When Rosalie came to the center, she actually arrived from another education facility that was no longer doing education. So she did have a past history out there, and we don't know a lot of details, but we do know that she was found as a young bird and had some sort of hip injury. We don't know what happened, but her hip actually was out of place and her body created a false joint. So that's why she was non-releasable. She has some arthritis and a bit of a wider stance, and she can be prone to some foot issues, but we keep her in good health and keep a good eye out for those things to prevent that. So Rosalie hasn't been with us all of her life, but you know, has been here the past several years. When she came to us, we wanted to give her a new name to start her new career of teaching people. And we named her after Rosalie Edge, who was a famous conservationist. And she was an amazing woman who did quite a lot to champion for wildlife, particularly hawks. She started the Hawk Mountain Sanctuary in Pennsylvania, and you know, was really fighting for wildlife at a time when it was pretty rough. So we thought that was a fitting name for our Rosalie. We'll give you guys a sneak peek. Rosalie just stared insanely intently past me over here because I am joined by Elvis wearing a bear hat. And I guess Rosalie thought that was pretty suspicious. But yeah, let us know if you guys have any questions, whether it's about Rosalie, anybody we had out before. You guys saw Alex, Connor's going to be on. We have Michael and Lauren in the library with a bunch of reptiles, and we're just rolling through a number of ambassadors. So let us know if you have any questions. Michael and Lauren, you can join me if you want. We could hang out and talk. I hate talking to just a screen.
Me too. Also, while you were talking, this was right in the library.
Oh yeah.
Rosalie Edge.
Excellent.
Hawk of Mercy.
That's it. It was a book club book.
And then in my other hand is our newest star, who would probably make one of the great snack for Rosalie. But,
probably.
So that's why we're in separate rooms right now. But I guess this is his debut, right?
It is.
On camera. This is our newest education ambassador, our newest addition to the reptile gang here. This is Allegheny, who was just recently given that name after we held a public naming contest for him. And Allegheny comes from, their Latin name is actually Pantherophis allegheniensis.
Oh, I'm impressed.
There's a million ways to pronounce Latin, it seems like, so who cares how it sounds?
Yeah.
But he's a showboat. He is active as can be. He, as with pretty much all of our reptiles, you know, these guys were snatched out of the wild, kept as pets for a certain amount of time that essentially prevented them from being safely returned to the wild. So his story is the same. It's a little more interesting in that the person who
had him originally actually went missing for a while. So that was kind of a strange new thing for us, but we weren't sure about what condition he was in. So we said, okay, let's get him up here, take a look at him. And then we decided to add him to the team after all that. So I don't know if Rosalie can see him through the camera, but if so, she's probably wetting her beak.
Yeah, I don't think she's paying attention to him. She's like checking out this weird office of like, there's a lot in here, man. And this big man over here wearing a bear hat.
He's not paying attention. Every time I love him because he's enormous. He's our biggest snake by probably a good foot or so. Severus is our next biggest snake, but this guy's got quite a bit of size, girth as well on Severus. But for being the biggest snake, he's probably he just kind of came already super habituated and comfortable with people, with being handled. I can probably manipulate him more easily than I can any other snake, just because he just doesn't care. He's just got a great spirit and a great temperament. But you can see once he gets a feel for it, once he feels comfortable, he just wants to explore anything and everything. He wants to climb. He's literally climbing over the top of the computer right now. And you can see, wow, great close-up of his ventral pattern there, the little checkerboard that these guys have. And obviously Rosalie can see him too, since she's getting all excited. But
what was that?
But yeah, Eastern rat snake, Allegheny. I prefer to call him Big Al. Thank you, Alex, for that suggestion, because I love that name.
Man, when I hear you call him Big Al, I think you're saying Big Owl. So keeps us guessing.
I'll try to enunciate as best I can.
Yes.
But yeah, he's just, I don't know, he's awesome. I think he's just, for as much of a handful he is in a physical sense, in a just handling education ambassador sense, he's about as good as you can get. And another great example of why these guys are awesome critters to have around your home. He helps us explain why and how and why we should respect snakes. Look how cute he is.
He's very cute. I'm so glad he's making his debut at the gala.
Yeah. And I wasn't talking about Connor either when I said, look how cute he is.
Yeah. I guess that's the perfect segue, because I have another animal that's making their debut. And this is something that I've been looking forward to for almost 11 months now, to show this animal off. And some of you may have gotten a sneak peek at what's going to be coming out at yesterday's program. But this right here is little Clover here, and she is a female American kestrel. So for all of you that know Verlin probably pretty well, you can see that she looks pretty similar, but her coloration's a little bit different. She's got more of that brown and coloration on her back, as opposed to Verlin's like dark gray blue color on the wings and the head a bit. And so yeah, she came to us actually last year, the fall of last year. And she is a human imprinted bird. So she was actually taken by some falconers from her nest when she was young. They took her from the nest because she had some sort of unique coloration that they wanted to preserve. So they planned to care for her over the first winter and then release her. And that kind of something that falconers sometimes do to give birds a leg up, since the first winter can be the toughest. But in her case, they released her a little bit early. They released her in fall. And because she was taken from the nest a little bit earlier than she probably should have. She was taken when she was about 16 days old. She imprinted on people during her time there. So the way we like to describe it sometimes is she doesn't exactly think that she's a person, maybe, but she certainly thinks that she belongs with people, and she seeks people out for food and care and water and whatnot. And that's actually how she came to the center. She actually flew to someone's shoulder at a gas station. Michael, were you the one that fielded that call?
I took the call, and I just, we hear so many crazy stories that a lot of time you're desensitized to them, but also you wait seeing is kind of believing here. But the guy, I think maybe the next day, after he had contained her for the night so she could be safe and brought to us the next morning, when we talked to him, I'm pretty sure he told me, it's like, you won't believe this, but she came to my arm when I called. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, buddy, whatever. But turns out not only was that probably 100% true, but she basically does the same thing here in a lot of ways. Connor and Amanda could probably speak to that a lot more, but sort of this ready-made, already basically trained, and well, not trained, but at least very habituated to people. So
Yeah,
I got
so
to give
her-
that guy credit for, he was telling the truth.
Her segue to becoming an ambassador was a little bit quicker, because like you said, being imprinted, there wasn't that long process of getting her over a fear of people at all. So it was more of just training her for certain behaviors, like stepping up on a glove, kind of get used to taking food from our hands, going to a crate, all the stuff that we train our ambassadors for. And she's ready to go. Technically, she's not on our ambassador team yet. We're still waiting to hear back on the permits. We submitted them about 11 months ago, so it does take a while sometimes, but as soon as we get those permits through, she's going to be going out for programs. And I got to point out right now something so cool. So right now, it might be hard to see, I'll put it up close. So she's actually just standing on one leg. She's got the other leg kind of tucked up under her there, and that's a really good sign that she's very comfortable right now. She loves to come out to our desks for programs. I mean, we haven't had her for programs yet, but we'll bring her to our desk, and while I'm doing some work, she'll just kind of sit on the glove, or we might tether her to a perch back here, and she just likes to watch all us in the outreach room and see what we're doing and whatnot. So she's been a joy to work with. But I am going to dip out and have Clover say goodbye to you all, because I think I see another friend joining us from the corner of your screen, Michael.
Oh, well, that's actually Allegheny still, but I'm going to run and
Oh.
get a turtle really, really quick.
Okay, well, Michael's getting a turtle. I'll have her out for just a little bit longer and get her up close on screen, get an up close look at her face there. You can see as she's on my glove, she's just kind of looking around curiously. Like I said, she seems to enjoy being around us. Part of that is being imprinted, and she definitely likes to be in the outreach room and see the activity that's going on. But I will go ahead and say goodbye and bring her back and let you take it away with some of our other reptiles.
Well, Sheldon is being a champ right now. She is unboxing herself from her box, because she's one of our box turtles. Again, very similar story in that this girl was found. Actually, I believe Sheldon, let's see. Yes. So another one of our turtles that was found with a bunch of fingernail polish and paint, and somebody decided to decorate her shell, which of course puts her at a disadvantage from camouflaging herself from predators. But also that oil on there is not good to have. Obviously, this is very much living bone that she has on her shell, this keratin shell. But I feel like a lot of you probably know about her history. And again, the fact that these guys are non-releasable is because they were found after being in captivity for an undetermined amount of time, and not knowing where they originally came from, which is extremely important for reptiles and amphibians who live in very, very small, especially amphibians, microhabitats in a lot of cases, sometimes a matter of a couple of 100 square yards. Turtles have a little bit larger home range than that, but especially when we're trying to rehabilitate a box turtle like Sheldon and get them back out into the wild, we're trying to get them as precisely as we can back to that original rescue location, because otherwise they're not going to be able to survive. They're not going to be able to find the resources that they need. They can be in direct competition with others of their same species. We could be accidentally spreading pathogens if we were to put her in a place where she did not come from originally, or she could be exposed to pathogens that she wouldn't normally be accustomed or immune to, or have a resistance to. So, and I think that's an awesome segue to talk about why relocation is not legal, or humane or just biologically appropriate for any animal in Virginia, any wildlife. So Sheldon's a great poster child for that. And I just think she's also really, really cute. She's putting up with me right now. She's probably a little more reserved than Wilson in terms of her willingness to unbox herself, but that's why I like to get her out more. I like the ones who don't necessarily shine or are really active in their enclosures. I like to get them out so they can get some exposure to the world too and say, hey, I'm here. But she's being a good sport. I'm always surprised at how strong any box turtle is. Their legs are like, look at her buff forearms right there. But for example, when we're like giving them fluids, having to grab one of their little legs to make sure they don't box back up so we can give them some supportive fluids, whether or not they're about to be released or just if they're dehydrated. But they got some big buff muscular arms, and they will use them too. She's clawing to get away from me right now, but when I go and get these guys out of their 2 very specially made gardens we have outside for them, when the weather is appropriate, above 65 degrees on average, we like to take them out to their garden where they can soak up some sun, get some vitamin D, do the things they would naturally do in the wild, just so they don't have to be cooped up in their enclosures all day long. And so I'll usually, the game that you play when you go out there is where are the turtles, to make sure we don't accidentally step on them when we're bringing back in for the end of the day, because they'll usually burrow themselves under a nice pile of leaves. I know Connor and Alex for Enrichment Week this year talked about the turtles' gardens, and they spruced them up quite a bit, put some nice flowers and sassafras and other native plants in there. And we dumped a bunch of leaves in there recently so they could practice that burrowing under those leaves. That's how these guys will prepare for and get through the winter, usually burrowing under leaf litter or even under loose soil, just to find a more temperate, safe area where they can not only hide from predators, but stay a little warmer as they go into a relative state of inactivity. Brumating is what we call it for reptiles instead of hibernating. Look at her. I don't know. I just think she's super cute. But I never thought before working here that I'd refer to snakes or turtles as being cute necessarily, but I definitely have been. I'm now accustomed to that. And it's not the easiest to tell, but you can see probably better for a comparison, but it's relatively easy. Well, you can sex box turtles a little more easily than you can a lot of other wild animals, reptiles in particular. The males will tend to be a little brighter in their coloration. Their eyes will tend to be a little more red, I would say, on average. And the females will have a little more level of a plastron, this bottom shell here. It'll be a little more even, whereas the males will have a little indentation here. And that's, we can probably guess, not to put it into words necessarily, but so one can get on top of the other when it comes to making more turtles. So that is how we knew she was a female. But of course, so those are the sort of things that we can also tell a lot of times through radiographs, x-rays. That's how we were able to tell that Allegheny, our new education rat snake, was a boy. We could see that on the x-rays. But box turtles are one we can say, okay, that's probably a female, or that's probably a male. And she is kicking my hand like crazy. So I don't know if we have another raptor on deck, because I can talk about reptiles and turtles all day long. And I'm happy to. In fact, I'll go grab Wilson in a second if you guys want me to, or another one of our snakes here, because we are getting fairly close to the main event. Probably another 15 or so minutes, or just under, before we tap out for that. And then I see Alex has got the table set up. He's got a bowl of food there. So I could probably make a guess as to who's making the next appearance. But I'll let Alex do the introductions from here whenever he's ready.
Yeah, hi, I'm ready. I'm back. I'm here. I'm in a new space. That's because I have a different ambassador. I don't have any handling gloves on, as you can see. I have a delicious bowl of food. Well, delicious from a distance. This might look familiar to you guys if you were around to watch our Opossum Time pre-Gala week program that happened on Wednesday. Oh yeah, sure, coming over. Connor's coming over. So we had a very special Wednesday presentation during the week to introduce you guys to all three of our opossum ambassadors. Two of them, the flower girls, Violet and Marigold, have been around for a good bit of time. The third, who remains nameless, well, really, for just a couple more hours, is coming out very slowly. I can see him on the corner of the camera. I love this little guy. He doesn't have a name yet. He is an opossum that was admitted to the Wildlife Center, let's see, in March? No, April of this year. And he was also born this year. So he's quite young. He's less than a year old.
Oh, he's getting bigger by the day.
But he's getting bigger by the day. Every single week, we try to weigh all of our opossums, similarly to our raptors, so that we can keep track of how much weight they're gaining or losing. That does kind of trend seasonally and also makes a difference for medications and measurements and everything else. So we've been able to see this little guy grow from an opossum that would literally fit in the palm of your hand to this strapping, handsome young man that he is today.
Made his way to the food finally there.
Yeah, he made his way to the food. This is a little bit different. He has been down here in a setup very similar to this a number of times to practice for tonight. So what you're seeing now is about 4 to 5 months of practice has culminated in this night. So it's pretty special for him and for Connor and I. And for all of us in the outreach department. And I have to say that I have been blown away at the number of bids that have been placed on his naming rights thus far. We have seen this number kind of slowly creeping up throughout the past week, but tonight I know you guys are on that site. You're on the GiveSmart website because I've seen it jump up by hundreds of dollars. I refresh my page and all of a sudden it's in triple digits. It's insane. So I think that that's so heartening because it proves that you guys care about our ambassadors as much as we do. Because what's in a name for an ambassador? Well, as you guys have heard us describe for several of the individuals you've met thus far tonight, a lot. Their names are meaningful. It has something to do with either their story, their history of rescue and rehabilitation, their story of their species, their natural history. In some way, it's connected to them in a special personal way. And it's heartening to see that you care about that stuff too. Because I know that Connor and I, we talked about this during our Wednesday program, Opossum Time, that when we go to schools and events and festivals and fairs and libraries and special events and everywhere else, it's not uncommon whatsoever for people to come up to us and say, oh my gosh, I remember you guys, well, not us. I remember the Wildlife Center. You guys came to my school when I was in school 25 years ago, 30 years ago. I remember this owl. I remember this hawk. I remember this possum. Are they still around? Sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes the answer is no. But what that tells me is that people remember these ambassadors. People remember their stories. They remember their care. They remember the lessons that are inherently attached to each and every one of them. That's what you're bidding on when you're bidding on his naming rights. You're not bidding on the chance to simply name an opossum. You're bidding on a chance to leave a lasting legacy. How was that? That was a pretty good pitch, huh?
That was a perfect pitch, Alex.
Well,
I don't think I can top it, so I don't know if I should try.
I've been thinking about it a lot because again, we've been working with this little guy for 5 months, almost 6 months. So it's really great. It's really, it makes me feel really glad to see him thriving and to see that other people care about him just as much as we do.
And what was awesome was this is a big moment for him coming out on the camera for this gala. So we were actually looking back was it yesterday or the day before at some of his highlights to his journey here. So like we were looking at photos of when he first got here and when he was not so comfortable in our care, and he was just a little guy and worried about us. We looked through some of the highlights of like his first time stepping up on a scale on his own, his first time going into a bath, and now here he is tonight, all ready to be in front of the camera for programs, and
That's right.
he's doing such a great job. What's he digging into there?
Well, let's see. He's got his, you know what? If I was thinking ahead, I would have prepared him a extra special gala night treat. But he's got his regular meal. But that's nothing to scoff at. His regular opossum meal has some what we call opossum bulk. So that's like wet dog food or wet cat food mixed together, blended together with some fresh produce and vegetables. That's like the really high calorie, high value food for him. He's got some fresh produce, like whole, kind of chopped and sliced. So what's in there? I think that's a
Carrots and squash, it looks like.
I think, yeah, that's either a squash or a zucchini. Whichever one is green, that's the one that's in there. I don't know if that's a squash or I think that's a zucchini. Zucchini, confirmation, yes. Teamwork. So he got zucchini. He also had some special formulated kibble that is meant to help keep his teeth clean. That's something that we special order for the opossums. And he had some protein item. So sometimes that's a hard-boiled egg. Sometimes that's some chopped chick or chopped mice or chopped rat. Tonight it was mouse. I'm sure you guys are really glad to hear me describing this part of the meal. And as always, there's some fruit pieces in there too. So sometimes apples, sometimes berries. It varies. Really, it varies on what's donated. It varies on what's in season. But also something I will mention is that this guy, even if you aren't able to win the naming rights, of course, there can only be one winner, but you can still help care for him. If you have fallen in love with him as much as Connor and I and all the rest of the outreach staff have, you can sponsor him through our Caring for Critters program. So that is a sponsorship where you will receive a special personalized certificate. You'll receive a nice kind of glossy headshot, and there are some good ones of this guy, some good headshots. They'll look great on your fridge, trust me. But you'll also receive personalized email updates throughout the year, kind of what he's been up to, what he's doing, special kind of behind the scenes things. And another reason I'm bringing this up now is because it's a great gift for the holiday season. If you know somebody that's hard to shop for, it's kind of, if they have everything, you don't want to get more material stuff. Caring for Critters is a great gift idea, especially for this opossum.
And I was actually thinking the other day, because he's checking out the corner over there, so he's exploring a little bit. During our possum time the other day, we were talking about Marigold and Violet's personalities. How would you describe this little guy's personality?
Oh, yes. I would describe him so far. I have seen a number of opossums come and go during my time at the Wildlife Center. I will say for certain that they do have personalities. I don't know if the words that we use to describe like human personalities are like a one-to-one perfect match for describing a possum, but I'll try. So I would describe this little guy as curious, a little bit cautious.
Yeah.
I would describe him as intelligent because he has picked up on our training routines pretty quickly. I would describe him as trusting, and I think those. Well,
yeah, that covers it pretty well. I mean, that cautiousness that he has is we're seeing it go down and down the more we're working with him. So like when we first started working with him, certainly he was very cautious because he did not know that
he was a wild
there to feed him and take care of him.
Yeah, he was not habituated to people. He was not conditioned to people. He was a wild opossum. So unlike Clover, unlike Violet, there was kind of an extra. I won't necessarily call it a hurdle, but an extra factor in his training that we had to accommodate for and work in. And we have definitely seen that change quite a drastic amount. It's lucky for us as professionals that work with and train opossums. It's lucky for us that opossums display their emotions very readily. If they're uncomfortable, they will let you know. Which looks like kind of like a cat or a dog. They'll kind of like open their mouth and bare their teeth and their fangs. They'll grunt, bark, almost hiss. They'll let you know if they're not having a good time. And we had seen that behavior in this little guy during those early days. But as you can see, now he's a pro, he's a champ. But we'll get to know him better too. I think really opossums, as they age, as they grow up, their personalities change just a little bit. Their energy levels change. Well, just like a human, I guess. So we'll get to know him better. We'll have some better descriptions and some better words to describe his personality as his life continues at the Wildlife Center, I think.
And I'll say one thing that we know about possums in general, but we certainly discovered about this little guy is that he is quite the climber. So when we've been going to bring food up to their areas up there, their enclosures, he is the one that has been climbing. We have a nice wooden structure in the middle of their yard that they can climb, and he's climbed to the top and been watching us perched on top of that, so he can see over the edge and watch what we're doing. So he's been very curious, a very, very great climber.
He's adventurous,
Adventurous, active. I've usually seen him up and about and checking things out when we're up there. So yeah, he's so much fun to work with, and I'm really excited to get to know him more as I'm taking him out to programs for school groups and teaching people about him. And he's going to be such a great ambassador for the Wildlife Center.
I think
A lot of good naming suggestions there and those descriptors too of his personality, probably, right?
ooh, yes. Yeah,
Give
naming
people some ideas.
Well, yes, whoever wins, there's a good chance that the winning bidder is watching this right now. Whoever wins, yes, know that about his personality, that he is adventurous, he's intelligent, he's trusting, he's a little cautious, so he's smart, and he's growing.
Oh, here we go. And grooming right now.
Yes, he's all about cleanliness. He's fastidiously cleaning himself as we speak. Yes.
Sounds like the perfect roommate.
The perfect roommate?
Yeah.
Yeah, aside from the fact that they're nocturnal, I think.
Oh, that's a good point. I think a lot of people probably have nocturnal roommates anyway, though. So that's.
I think that's. You have to go about ready for that to go back in your crate.
Yeah, that's a pretty good sign when they kind of lick their paws and kind of clean their mouths. That's a good sign that they're finished with their meal for the day. So it looks like we'll probably try to usher him back into his crate. But we are just minutes away from the big event, the finale. So I'd like, on behalf of all of us here that have been spending time with you during the Meet and Mingle Ambassador session, thank you. Thank you for spending time with us during the gala. Thank you for your support. Thank you for letting us do what we do. It's because of you that we're able to do events and share our messages. And so I'll say, save the world. We can save the world because of you guys. So thank you from all of us.
Yeah, thank you so much. You don't know how much your support means to us. So thank you so much.
That's true. And with that, we'll say goodbye. It's just about time anyway. So we'll see you guys in a couple minutes for the main event. So long for now.
Bye, everybody.